Hey Thinksters, what is the best programming language to start freelancing in 2020 and 2021, 2022 and beyond? So the demand for programming talent has steadily increased in the preceding decades, and in fact there has never been a better time to start coding, and especially if you are interested in new kind of trends and technologies that pop up everywhere these days, then you have a very good opportunity to participate in today's economy. So for example, there are two transformative trends that can be observed, and like the first trend, both are relatively obvious for most people, and actually I have not seen anyone disagreeing with me on these two trends. So and in fact there are a lot of statistics that show that these trends are actually proliferating. So first of all, programming is on the rise still. This is like a decade-old trend, but it still continues and continues. There's more interest than ever before in learning to program, and it now reaches the masses, and many voices demand that programming should be taught in school, so everyone should be able to program. And this is also one of the goals of Thinkster, to increase the programming capacity of humanity, to increase collective intelligence of humanity. So programming is on the rise. We have the internet has impacts every sector, every industry sector in the world, and disrupts many of them. And the internet is built from networked computers, so we have big trends in networking. We have hardware, which is still increasing with Moore's law, is still happening. So we have many of those transformative hardware trends, but also in software and algorithms we have a lot of progress. In machine learning recently we have in the last decades we have seen neural networks happening, like new frameworks arise like TensorFlow that make powerful machine learning algorithms accessible to the masses. So programming is still on the rise. Programming is one of the biggest opportunities these days. And then we have a second trend, and this is freelancing. And if you look at the biggest freelancing platforms such as Upwork and Fiverr, they are out to disrupt the world's talent marketplace. So both platforms grow double digits, and they aim to transform how the world's talents is organized, how we can manage to exchange talents between companies, so that companies don't have a monopoly on certain talents, but that basically break up and discreditize the access to the talent. What does this mean? This means that so if you have like the world best coder in Java, then the world best coder in Java previously has worked for a big company like Google, but now he can work as a freelancer and sell his slices of his day, slices of his time to different companies all over the world. And every company in the world can now access the best Java coder in the world, for example, or the best graph processing engineer, or the best deep learning engineer, and so on. So no matter where the niche is, you can access the global talent as a company, and this is done by freelancing platforms. So freelancing platform make this actually available. Without it, there's no. So without a freelancing platform, online remote talent freelancing platform, you need to have this localized system, which we had the last, let's say, 100 years, where people just start working in their local environment, and then they are kind of locked in, so they have to work there, and it's very expensive to move them around, and it's time expensive and money expensive to like fly them to different companies. I mean, there are consultants that do this currently, but it's very, very inefficient. Good, so we have these two trends, programming and freelancing, and if you combine those trends, you end up with one of the greatest opportunities of our time, freelance development. And what is freelance development? It's the act of selling your programming services to a global client base. And actually, I've started my online business as a freelance developer, so you can check out my story in my book, Leaving the Rat Race with Python. I also share a lot of valuable tips and insights I have learned during this journey. But you can also check out our free material we have. So we with the Thinkster channel, we address all different topics in the space of freelance developing. So we improve your coding skills and we improve your business skills. And there are a lot of free tutorials, so you can also check out the free stuff if you want. You can also get a more expensive full course about Python freelancing, but so you can decide yourself. There's a lot of free content for you. Okay, so what are the best programming technologies for freelance developers? Or programming languages. And I mean, one dimension where most people are mostly interested in, and where you can also see the demand on the market side. So like, what is the most valuable skill set you can have these days? Let's just measure it with money, with a yearly income. And you see web developer has a yearly income of $87,000 on average in the US. And this doesn't sound like much. I mean, it's a lot. It's more than average income, of course, but it's not six figures. And as a freelance developer in many spaces, you can easily earn six figures. So web development, JavaScript, HTML, CSS, SQL, the standard using standard frameworks, it's not so sexy anymore. So there are more advanced technologies. If you still want to push into web development, it's perfectly fine, but then you need to learn more advanced technologies like Angular CS, Angular JS, or jQuery and so on. So more more advanced frameworks that build upon these two technologies. So you still need this stack: JavaScript, HTML, CSS, SQL, but then you need to have some more advanced technologies to reach the six-figure earning potential, like Angular JS, for example. Okay, then as a mobile developer in Android, the best for this, so if you want to become a mobile developer Android, you can earn $126,000 per year on average in the US, and the best programming language to do this is Java. Why Java? Because Java, it's just for Android development. So if you program with Android Studio, for example, Java is the language to do it. I mean, there are other languages that also allow it, but Java is the main language, and programming Android apps is mainly done in Java. If you want to become an Apple app developer, you can earn $123,000 on average in the US as a freelance developer, and the best programming language for this is Swift. This is a programming language developed by Apple. But actually, I would not recommend it. But I mean, between us, because you really have a serious vendor lock-in. So you are already focusing not on a technology and only like Android, but on a certain company like Apple. What happens if Apple becomes out of vogue, or Apple does this and that, or Apple decides that, I don't know, they don't want to support external apps anymore, or so, or they discourage programming new apps, or so, or maybe they monopolize programming apps to certain programmers by charging a very high fee to publish your apps on the marketplace. You don't know the politics of Apple, so just investing all the time into Swift, learning a programming language that works only for Apple products, and then you are also dependent on the marketplace provided by Apple and on their decisions, then it could be a bit risky, right? You never know. So for example, if you would do the same, like learning Java and become an Android developer, there's no single entity controlling Android, because Android is an open source system. So there is no entity that could immediately destroy your progress. But even if Android becomes out of vogue, you still have learned Java, and Java is one of the major programming languages. So you can do all kinds of other things with Java. Okay, then the most attractive job so far, or job description so far, is to be a back-end developer, at least from a monetary point of view. So you, as an average freelance developer in the space, back-end development, you earn $127,913 in the US. And if you need to check out the sources, then go to this article. I published this article on the Thinkster blog, so I give a link in the description below. You can check it out, and you can check out the sources where these income figures come from. And here an example is learning Python, Django, and Flask. This is just one example how you can. So what is the best programming language for this kind of job description? Of course, you can do back-end development even with JavaScript on the back end. This works, but I would say today it has some advantages to use Python in the back end, and this is that you can on the back end do some more complicated analysis, machine learning. Python is by far the best language for machine learning, and you also you don't have this login. You don't focus only on one technology like PHP. PHP is done only in the back end, and you cannot migrate your knowledge easily from PHP. You need to learn another programming language then to do some scripting and data analysis and other kind of things. And Python is very generic, so you can use Python in the back end, but you can also use it for data science and machine learning, and you can use it for all other big applications. And there are actually a lot of services on the web that use Python, Django, and Flask, and so on. Like I think Reddit, but I'm not 100% sure, and many more professional frameworks, professional websites that everyone has heard of use Python in the back end. So this is a good choice, solid choice, and it also earns quite significant money, $127,000. So if I would start over again, I would really seriously consider this choice or machine learning engineer, which I will come later. As a front-end developer, you earn a bit less, $109,000, 42. 42 is the answer. and the best front-end languages. So front-end means everything the user sees in the browser. So basically, you have this everything that goes on the machine, on the user machine. So and you can have JavaScript, HTML, and CSS. And this is front-end development. It's relatively easy to learn, I would say. So even non-programmers, non-computer scientists can easily learn it. It doesn't. You don't need a lot of math skills or anything, so you can just teach it to yourself, and then you can over time also migrate to this full-stack engineering, which is just better paid by just adding a technology for backend. Good. So I think this is also a good road, because you can, the barrier to entry is relatively low. You can quickly create some websites that look beautiful, and then you can build on this and maybe create your own web applications and so on, and by focusing on front-end development. But I mean, without the back-end, nothing happens. So back-end is, I would say, more important, but maybe it's just my opinion. Maybe other people would argue that front-end development is more important. But still, in back-end, you get paid more than in front-end development, because it's more complicated. And I would say it involves a higher level of skill than front-end development, at least technical skills. I mean, of course, front-end development requires some design skills, for example, and other kind of skills, and this is also very challenging. But there are more people. There's more competition in this skill set, because more people are attracted towards design and towards the easy drag and drop stuff and creating beautiful websites, getting immediate feedback, immediate gratification for your work. And back-end development is kind of, I mean, you are doing a lot of development and you don't see the results, so therefore it doesn't feel as gratifying maybe to some people. And maybe that's already the reason why this is paid better, back-end development and front-end development. Okay, so next, you as a freelance developer, you can become a full-stack engineer. As a full-stack engineer, you basically are able to do both, right? Back-end and front-end development. And so usually full-stack engineers are very experienced. Most of the time, they have at least 10 years experience in creating different app applications in the front end and back end, and tweaking codes and really seeing the whole picture. And I think this is also this seeing the whole picture thing is the most valuable part of their work, because they are not as specialized, so therefore they don't earn as much money as, for example, a back-end developer, because back-end developers can be very specialized, maybe also doing distributed systems and scaling things up and so this is very specialized. Usually specialized skills pay better, all things being equal, but as a full-stack engineer you can go back into the big picture, and oftentimes I think full-stack engineer allows you to most easily become a team leader. So like move away from the real programming technical work and seeing the whole picture and try to manage the teams. And of course, as soon as you are a team leader, you are not a full stack engineer anymore. So therefore, this very high earning potential you can reach as a full stack engineer by becoming a team leader and an engineer, like a manager more, going into managing direction. This doesn't appear here. So it appears that like this doesn't have as much potential as just focusing on back-end development, but because many people just move up, I would say many full stack engineers move up the food chain kind of, and also get paid better over time as the managers. And also this, in many companies, this involves like stock options and so. Okay, but we are talking about freelancing, and in freelancing, I would say full stack engineers often, freelancers do not lead teams, right? So they're just doing the work, kind of. Maybe in some cases they lead teams, but the state of the art in freelancing is not as advanced yet. This may change in the future. This may change in the upcoming decade. That companies just hire freelancers, that hire other freelancers, and so on, so that you have like a big hierarchical structure of freelancers. Good, but I mean, in this case, it's just like it is. Good, and then we have 2 job descriptions left as a freelance developer, which is data scientist and machine learning engineer. And I think these are the most exciting areas in freelance developing these days. Why is that? I mean, all of us have heard the quote, data scientists are the most sexiest job description in the world or so. Because, I mean, the world is flooded with data. We have data everywhere. Data processing and understanding and getting meaning, extracting meaning from data is the most important skill in our knowledge area, because because data is ubiquitous and data is growing as quickly as never before. It's growing still exponentially, and the potential is even larger. I mean, think about the potential of data capturing. I mean, you can, in the end, like in 100 years, we will probably capture everything. We will have drones and satellites and everything, and cameras everywhere and microphones everywhere. So we will have ubiquitous computing. So we will capture an infinite stream of data. So I don't expect that data science and extracting more high-level meaning like machine learning models, these whole data-driven disciplines, will go away soon. I think they will stay for hundreds of years probably. So it's a very important, very, very relevant skill, and we are just in the beginning of this data of this century of the growth and proliferation of the data set. So the data sets keep increasing, and we need to get meaning out of this data. We need to understand this data. Data just stored on a file is worthless. Data analyzed and extracted the meaning and filtered and cleaned and visualized in a way. These are the very relevant parts. So all great companies today are data-driven companies. Think Apple, think Facebook, think Google, think Amazon. Think Netflix, and all of them. So they use large amounts of user data to generate the best user experience for users. Do some split testing and stuff. Try out different things, and based on data, they improve their decision-making process. And so data scientist is really a huge opportunity, and they also earn significantly these days. And I think it will just grow over time. $122,000 in the US on average. And the machine learning engineer is at the top of the food chain. Why? Because they don't just extract meaning from data themselves, they create machines and algorithms that extract meaning from data and meaning. So they create a new type of intelligence, artificial intelligence, that can learn from the data, that can learn from labeled data and labeled or unlabeled data, and create their own predictions, create their own decisions. So they create machines that decide autonomously in different ways, like robots, like chat bots, for example, web crawlers, and so on. So you have different types of models. And also machine learning is also what Netflix does and Amazon. Product recommendation, movie recommendation. This is all machine learning. So they create models, and the models predict for you as a user what is the best movie, what is the best product based on based on your history, based on the data they have associated to you. So machine learning creates a higher level meaning out of the data streams we have in the world, and this higher level meaning is paid is paid very, very nicely. So we have $145,000, and here the best libraries or technologies to learn, I would say the best stack for machine learning these days is Python, NumPy, scikit-learn, and TensorFlow. TensorFlow is a framework from Google for deep learning, and scikit-learn has implemented also a Python framework from that is just a bit older, and this has implemented all the machine learning algorithms you can think of, like decision trees, support vector machines, classification algorithms, regression models, linear logistic regression, more higher order curves, and clustering algorithms, k-means, and so on. So we have even meta algorithms like forests. Forests are algorithms that use different decision trees to classify data, for example. So scikit-learn is really advanced. Then we also have NumPy, the NumPy library. Of course, the NumPy library is more for data science and data wrangling, data cleaning, and so on stuff. So we need NumPy, and we of course need Python for all of those, because all of those are Python libraries. So data scientists and machine learning engineers, these are Python dominated areas, and I think this is one of the reasons why Python is so successful these days, because of the domination of the Python frameworks in this space. So if you don't know where to go, I would recommend you just learn Python. You start with learning Python, and then you go from there, and you focus later on one of those opportunities. But don't make it like a random choice. Don't just go there and look where it brings you, but try to be a bit more planning about your career choice, because I mean, if sometimes you don't stumble upon technologies like TensorFlow, you need to actively seek them and actively learn those technologies, and or NumPy. And of course, I mean, you can check out our free tutorials. We have a lot on things that we have a lot of free tutorials teaching you Python and NumPy and even pandas and Dash frameworks and all kinds of technologies. We also have books, like we have Python books, like Coffee Break Python and Coffee Break Python workbook. We have NumPy book, Coffee Break NumPy. We will soon have a pandas book, even Coffee Break pandas. And then, of course, the introductory book for Python would be Python one-liner. So you can check out these books. These are, I would say, excellent resources based on the feedback I get from the readers of the book to push into these spaces and to learn about the ins and outs of these technologies. Okay, so today, decide yourself. So I have now talked about each and every discipline, each and every area here in the what are the best programming technologies, what are the best so how are they applied to solve practical problems like web development, app development, and so on, and what are some properties or attributes of those languages, and also how do they pay. So now, based on this information, you should be able to at least make a first decision and just make the decision, stick to it for a year or 2 years, and push into the space. Try to get some gigs on Upwork. Check out our freelancing material. I give links in the description below. Free and book material. And just be actively seeking, actively pushing, and don't fear getting your first gig, because getting your gig and working on practical code projects is the best thing you can do to learn and getting paid in the process. Okay, thanks for listening to this deep dive into the different programming languages for freelance developing. Thanks for watching this, and see you in the next video. Bye.